conspiracies. I need to stop this right now.
You and I, we don't want to be like them. I'm trying to set this
So yeah guys, as you understood, today we're going to watch One Direction fandom conspiracies from Hinja channel. I heard that she has been in fandom since the very beginning, and I'm really glad to learn something about One Direction, something new about One Direction, exactly from a person that knows, I think, everything about them. So yeah, let's start it. It's gonna be a long video, guys. Prepare.
How do I feel about this setup? I don't know. Let me move the tripod.
Okay. Oh my god, she has Louis!
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh my god.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Unless you're new, then hi, welcome. My name is Jasmine. I make One Direction videos on this channel, but if you want to subscribe to my main channel, it's always linked down in the description. I'm actually really excited about the video that I'm filming today. I think it's a very cool concept to be doing. I'm surprised I've never done something like this before in the past, so here we are. Basically, I'm going to be doing a One Direction conspiracy theories video. Like I said, I've never done anything like this on my channel before, so I'm quite excited to get into some of these with you. Before I get started with some of these conspiracy theories, as always, there's a few just little disclaimers that I want to put in real quick. The first one is just that some of these aren't really conspiracy theories. Some of them are really just like funny, like nothing to be taken too seriously. Because you know how the fandom is. I just don't want anyone watching to take some of these theories like super seriously or anything like that. It's just things that have been widely thought in our fandom, or popular things that have happened that I'm going to explain to people who might not know. The other little disclaimer that I forgot to mention is that this conspiracy video is not going to revolve around any of the popular ships. The only Larry thing that I talk about in this video is RBB and SBB, just because it was such a big phenomenon that I needed to put it in this video because it's one of the biggest conspiracy theories out there. Just want you guys to know that I'm not going to be covering the Larry ship, Haler, Hamil, Hendel, Zium, Zeri, anything like that, because there's just no need. The only thing I do that's even remotely related to a ship is the RBB and
because
SBB
Larry is not conspiracy.
This video definitely doesn't cover every One Direction conspiracy theory. I'm just doing a few, so if you guys want like another one or like a part 2, definitely let me know in the comments and I'll make another one of other things that could be categorized in this video. But for now, we're just going to talk about some of the ones that I have for you, and I'm really excited. So without further ado, here are some One Direction conspiracy theories.
Oh no.
So I'm gonna try and balance this out with some like in-depth conspiracy theories about One Direction, and then some funny little harmless ones that people like. So that being said, I'm going to oh dear god. I'm going to start this video off with a tale as old as time that only the truest veteran OG Directioners will remember surviving, because this was just absolutely insane, and that is Mr. X. So the Mr. X phenomenon began in 2012 on Tumblr, when there was this account on Tumblr making a bunch of predictions about things that would happen in the fandom. A lot of people were starting to submit like anonymous questions and asking them stuff, asking them like who they are, if they're one person, if they're a group of people, and it was all just very confusing. Then what became dubbed as Mr. X started getting a lot of attention. Everyone was talking about them all of a sudden, not just people on Tumblr. People on Twitter were saying like, yo, who is this? What are these predictions? What's happening? And they started speaking to people via Omegle.
Like, I'm sorry, but I don't believe in stuff like that.
But you know, the website where you can go on and talk to strangers. They were sending all these really creepy messages to people on Omegle, trying to scare them and freak them out about things that would start happening in the future. The things that this person was sending people on Omegle were very just like cryptic, weird things that people would probably use now to troll you. Just like random thing, like a bunch of numbers, telling people to decode things, telling people weird things about like trees and the sky, and just really weird things that were super like ominous and like off-putting, really unsettling, especially to a group of like 12-year-olds. We were all really young when this happened, preteen through like teenagers. I mean, now a lot of the fandom who were there for this are like well into their 20s and stuff. Back then we were just little tweens and teens didn't know what to expect, didn't know what to do, so it was really easy for us to fall for this kind of thing. I mean, Mr. X in this day and age probably wouldn't last very long, but back then it was like done deal. Everyone actually believed this person was, you know, someone who had all this inside information and someone who was able to predict things that were happening, someone that knew everything that was happening. It was just, they started using Omegle to put out all this weird information about the boys' families and stuff that people never knew before, so a lot of people were just really unsettled by the whole thing. Then of course, some of Mr. X's theories started coming true, like Haler most notably, so then that's when people like took them so seriously and thought that they were just like the real deal. Some people started making theories that they were actually a group of people, like some kind of legion. Mr. X also predicted Liam and Danielle Peaser getting back together. It's like back in this time they had broken up. Mr. X predicted that they would get back together, and then they did get back together. So a lot of people were freaked out by that too, the fact that they were just predicting all these things that ended up happening. This whole Mr. X thing ended up blowing up so big that even Simon like tweeted about it. He was like, "Who is Mr. X?" And that kind of freaked a lot of people out even more because they were convinced that Simon had something to do with it, or that that person had managed to reach him or something. A lot of people just thought him actually saying something about it was insane, because that means like the boys must know about it, Simon knows about it, like this Mr. X person that's like scaring and terrorizing the shit out of the entire fandom with these cryptic riddles on Omegle and Tumblr and all these predictions and stuff. It was just so bizarre. It was pretty scary how Mr. X operated. Like I said, at the time, this fandom was really young, so it was very strange that whoever was behind it was trying to deliver messages in the way that they were. They were making predictions in the form of really weird, like, riddles that rhymed and stuff like that, but they were like morbid. Here's an example of one of the riddles that Mr. X posted. This is from December 3rd, 2012. They said, 5 little birds are trapped in a cage. 1 little bird fell off the stage. 4 little birds, the cage is getting narrow. 1 little bird got shot by an arrow. 3 little birds come out to play. 1 will die at the end of the day. 2 little birds, 1 about to die. No one hears his painful cries. The 4 dead birds, the last one mourn. His heart was tragically torn. Like, that, do you see what I mean now? Like, that's some heavy stuff, especially to like a group of 12-year-olds. And it very much implies that all of them are gonna die. December 3rd, 2012, when that riddle was released, was the night that One Direction was playing Madison Square Garden for the first time, and a lot of people were really terrified, because they were so convinced that Harry was going to die. Because of that riddle that the official Mr. X account posted on the 3rd, a lot of people thought that Harry was going to get shot with an arrow on stage during their Madison Square Garden concert. I remember this day so vividly that it's scary. I remember like reading all of these things and crying my eyes out. Like, I was crying so much, just genuinely thinking that Harry was going to get shot with an arrow at Madison Square Garden and like fall dead on stage. I don't know why anyone thought that. Like, how the hell are you going to get into a concert with an arrow? Like a bow and arrow? Other people thought that the arrow thing was just a metaphor and Harry was going to get shot, actually shot, like shot, not with an arrow, just regular shot. So those were the 2 theories that were running around at the time, but either way, everyone was terrified. Now, typically when there's a One Direction concert, the fandom keeps up with everything that happens during the concert via Twitter and Tumblr. So there was a bunch of updates going around on Twitter from the night of MSG that someone in the crowd was arrested with a gun. And they called her Samantha Xavier, which is Mr. X, Xavier X. And the fandom was like convinced that there was a whole group or like legion of people, Mr. X, Mr. Y, Mr. Z kind of thing. And the person who was Mr. X was Samantha Xavier, and she got arrested at Madison Square Garden for having a gun in the crowd. Like, I think the craziest thing about Mr. X in general is how quickly people started making what they said into other things. Like, there was these creepy riddles and stuff, and people thought things were gonna happen, but then somehow the fandom, like, flipped it and switched it so that all these other things were happening. People were talking about Mr. X, like, putting Niall to sleep forever and worrying the shit out of his brother Greg. And people were making up stories about Mr. X getting backstage at a concert, and everyone needs to calm down because security is back there looking for him. It was just, I just don't understand how this, like, Tumblr account making random predictions spiraled into all this mass hysteria where people were legit, like, terrified. Nothing ended up happening at the Madison Square Garden concert. Obviously, Harry is fine and all the other boys are fine. But the whole Mr. X thing really shook things up for a very long time. Mr. X ended up disappearing after this whole thing started to kind of die down, but then they ended up coming back in 2015.
Whoa.
Yeah, they came back. Mr. X came back and started posting a bunch more predictions that ended up coming true. Allow me to read them to you. They said
Zayn,
1 will leave and 4 will rise. Zayn left the band after that. So, yeah. They also said a new life will appear, and then Louis' baby announcement happened. And then they also mentioned something about a couple breaking up, which was Zayn and Perry. They ended up breaking up. And then something about the youngest dying, which the youngest is Harry. So once again, the entire fandom went spiraling, thinking that Harry was going to die again.
Going to die.
Again.
It's stupid.
A fucking again. Like, we already been through this once, and now y'all think Harry's gonna die again.
Oh my God.
A lot of people in this time, though, were still convinced that back in 2012, there was someone who really did get arrested at Madison Square Garden for trying to bring a gun in the arena. A lot of people believe that. It was never confirmed or denied that someone tried to bring a gun into the arena and got arrested. I don't know if that's true to this day. I still don't know if that's true or not. We never got confirmation. But since we never got confirmation of that, a lot of people were nervous that someone was going to try again in 2015 now that the Mr. X thing had come back. And it was so much of a concern that hashtag Harry Be Careful ended up trending #1 worldwide all day on this day in an attempt to get Harry to be safe. Of course, once again, nothing happened though at the arena. Harry was fine. All of this was supposed to go down at the MetLife Arena, and nothing happened on the night that it was supposed to. Once again, I think Mr. X later went on to continue being active in the fandom, not as cryptically and not as bizarrely, but I know they ended up releasing a song called Scandal where people played the lyrics backwards and swore that there was secret messages hidden in there. I don't know much about Mr. X after 2015 because that's when I stopped caring about the whole Mr. X thing, as a lot of people did, because it was just the same old, I'm making all these threats and then nothing happened, so a lot of people fell off of keeping up with them. But some people who really enjoy that aspect of the music industry, like secrets and stuff like that, kept up with Mr. X. So if you want more information on what happened after all that bizarre stuff, I'll have the song Scandal and some analysis posts linked down below in the description. If your interest is sparked and you want to know more about that, go for it. But for the most part, those are all the things that happened with Mr. X. It's really hard to put together a cohesive timeline of the Mr. X thing, but those are the basics of what happened if you're new and you didn't know. Okay, moving on from all the Mr. X stuff. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through this next one without being sent to the moon laughing, because I basically, way back when, you know, in those good old days, there was a conspiracy theory widely believed that Eleanor Calder is a triplet. When I say that people believed Eleanor is a triplet and that there was 3 Calder triplets running around pretending to be Louis' girlfriend, I'm not saying that like as a joke. Like, no, people actually 100% believed in their brains that there was 3 triplets, Calder triplets. There would be all kinds of Tumblr posts and YouTube videos analyzing different Eleanors that had different facial features, trying to prove that it's because there's 3 of them. They would do things like circle the top of her head, where there's like, at one picture there would be like a little part right here, and then at one point there would be nothing, and they'd be like, yeah, it's because there's 3 of them. Actually, it's because she's parting her hair different ways, but go off.
Yeah, like, you
but
know,
do this.
like, I can do the same.
Look, it's gone now.
Yeah. Whoop.
But people legit thought that the difference in her hairline was because she had 2 other sisters. Not only that, but the sisters had names. Eleanor, Gretchen, and Tina. Why? I want to know why their names were Tina and Gretchen. Where did that come from? That's the one thing I don't know about the Calder triplets, is I never knew where their names come from. Like, how did you know that their names were Tina and Gretchen? Did someone just make that up and everyone went with it? Here's another, like, comparison picture that someone did, trying to prove that these 2 people are different. This is Tina over here on this side, and then Eleanor over here on the other side. They say that one of them has a higher arched eyebrow. One of them has dimples and the other one doesn't. The other one's face is shorter. The other one's lips are thinner.
It's just the same person.
Thinner hair.
It's
just the same person. it's the same person. I don't.
That's what I'm
people
saying.
tried to prove that their noses were different, eyebrows were different, face shapes, hair parting. It was just, and like people legit believed that there was 3 of them. There was also this picture of like Eleanor at some party or something from a few years prior to her becoming Louis' girlfriend, and there was 3 of them in the picture, and people would like circle them and be like, "Yep, here's a picture of Eleanor at a party with Tina and Gretchen. We called her triplets." I'm not going to get up here and bash her like everyone else, but she needs a lot of psychological evaluations. The next conspiracy theory is pretty interesting and something that I've never really seen anyone speak on in like a video before, but a lot of One Direction fans believe that they have people on their teams that go undercover on like Twitter and social platforms as fan accounts to kind of do some inside work on the fandom, if that makes sense. A lot of people also think that there's fan accounts and update accounts that are in direct contact with the boys' like teams, also for the same reason, to kind of infiltrate the fandom. This is something that I think is very believable and that I think is more than likely. I do know for a fact that there's update accounts that have direct connections to the boys' team. They work closely with each other because update accounts are able to influence the fandom very easily. So it would make sense for them to keep in contact with members of the boys' teams for like picture releases, stuff that's happening, fan projects, things like that. It makes a lot of sense. But I don't know for positive that they have people go undercover in the fandom, but I think it's likely. This is another one of those things that's not really a full conspiracy theory because, like, yeah, I think it's pretty true. It's just something that nobody really ever says out loud. It would make a lot of sense, too, to have people on their teams go undercover as a fan account to kind of plant pictures. Like, do you ever wonder where pictures come from? Like, when these pictures just randomly surface, where it's like, where did this come from? Why is this unseen all of a sudden floating around the fandom? Well, it's probably because someone on their team had it and waiting for a time when they need to use it, perhaps to distract people from something else that's going on, or to distract from something they don't want people to know about yet. So I wouldn't put it past their teams to have people pretending to be fan accounts, not only to spread pictures though, but also to start rumors on purpose. That's part of the music industry. Or receipts on purpose. Or planting, like, ideas. Like, you remember the whole Erota phenomenon when random people all of a sudden made the Erota thing about Harry? Like, how did they do that? Because there was people undercover as fan accounts who were like, hey, look at this. It could be about Harry. Just to kind of get ideas stirring to make the fandom be like, oh, and latch onto something. And then, you know, create the buzz from there. Definitely 100% believable.
Oof, I actually didn't expect this at all, especially about Eleanor as a triplet. And I think that the most annoying for me was Mr. X when this person predicted that Harry is going to die. I really hate when people make everything negative. Like, just enjoy your favorite artist. You like Harry, you like Louis. Just don't do this to them. Like, just enjoy them. I love Harry, I love Louis, I love Niall, I love Liam, I love Zayn, and I never think about anything negative. Even if I know that all of them have some issues, some things, really heavy things, I always turn this into something positive as a motivation. That they didn't stop Zayn's recent interview, and that his favorite music from the band is Niall's music. I'm really glad to hear his voice again. Usual voice, not in songs. To begin again is incredible. All this stuff, I'm really glad. And all these conspiracies are really weird. One of them actually that I like is not actually conspiracy, as Jasmine said, is about that someone as kind of fan account on Twitter posts something to fandom to start some conversations about it, some speculations, discussions, all this stuff. It will be true. Maybe it is. I just wanted to say that I don't like when people make everything bad, everything negative, everything about death or something like that. Don't do this. Stop it. This is ridiculous. As I already said, this is, for me, it's silly. I don't like about Eleanor because, like, this is the same person. Just admit it. Stop doing it. Even if I like Larry, I love Larry a lot, I will not do that. This was the first part of it because this is almost 30 minutes video and I divided this on 2 parts, not on 3 parts, on 2 parts. This is already a long video, but if you want to watch the next part, wait, it's going to be tomorrow. And yeah, watch my previous video about Harry creating awkward situations. I will leave something here. And yeah, subscribe to this channel. This is Angel channel, Jasmine Zaid, and I really like this channel. I really like how she tells these conspiracies. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and yeah, make sure to subscribe to my channel to get more videos. Leave me feedback such as likes, and leave a comment below what was the creepiest one from these conspiracies, or maybe you know something else. I really would like to read about this because this is crazy. I didn't know about this at all. It's like, whoa. I hope that you're all safe and healthy. Don't forget to smile and keep it with kindness, guys. That's all. See you in the next video. Love you.